Chapter 5 Naruto's Demise 5. This is what I thought Naruto would be like if he didn't have friends, but also had fox-like features, more so than those whiskers he already has. Plus I give him a scary fan club, no pairings, well not planning on any, but we shall see. Naruto didn't care, he didn't give a damn if one person lives or dies because no one ever cared for him, and no one ever gave a damn if he lived or died. Last time. The water rose, sending a giant wave heading towards the unsuspecting blonde. He, and a couple of clones, managed to notice it and jump over, or away, but the clones that got caught were enough to send him into, and past, the limits of exhaustion. He felt consciousness leave him before he even hit the floor. He was laying on his back, a man walking towards him. He could only vaguely make out his outline as he neared. The man let out a chuckle. Thought I'd find you here, his familiar voice said. Bastard was Naruto's last words. This time. Naruto slowly opened his eyes, his arms felt numb. He felt groggy and wanted nothing more to fall asleep again. He tried to bring a hand to rub his eyes, but upon finding he couldn't, he quickly turned his head towards his shackled wrist. That explains the numbness, he thought gingerly. Now he was awake, and very, very scared. He looked down, noticing his ankles were also shackled, lifted about 6 inches of the floor. He was spread-eagled, shackled, attached to a wall in an unknown dungeon, with instruments of torture nearby. Kakashi better not be acting out a scene, fucking books. He suddenly became aware of another presence in the room. He looked towards the door to see, oh shit, these guys, the hunter nin from 3 days ago. It seemed to be asleep, but being unsure, Naruto remained silent. Instead he chose to look around, his crimson eyes taking in every small detail of the disgusting place. From the cracked, damp stone walls, to the water dripping silently above the one and only barred window. On the shelf in front he could see many knives, whips, syringes, and all other sorts of macabre instruments. Off to his right there was a long and wide wooden table, straps for struggling victims fixed into the wood. Before he could take in any more of the room, the door opened, the brief light hurting his eyes. Hello there, Naruto-kun. Scratch that, I would prefer this to be Kakashi acting out a scene. Oh god, let it be Kakashi acing out a scene. Oh great, I suppose you two are going to be my gracious hosts? Why yes we are, how did you ever guess? The sarcasm dripped of Zabuza's words. Well, these seem you kind of surroundings. Naruto answered, ignoring the sarcasm. Smart? Zabuza paused for what he hoped was dramatic effect. Powerful? No, horrible, deranged, run-down slime pit of, most likely, gay sexcapades. Naruto got a firm punch across his right cheek, effectively dislocating his jaw. Naruto rapidly turned his head back to Zabuza. The loud crack resonated around the dungeon as captive's jaw locked back into place. All you got? Naruto had to force his mouth to move. Zabuza laughed. Of course not, the best is to come. He slowly walked over to the shelf, eyeing a very sharp-looking butcher's knife. I like both kinds of torture, physical and psychological. Look at the big boy using such complicated words. Forms of torture, Zabuza continued, completely ignoring Naruto's outburst. I can take away your life, dreams, mobility and make you experience pain beyond your imagination. Can it, you eyebrow-less freak? Naruto cut in, not teasing anymore. I haven't had a life to begin with. Zabuza raised a non-existent eyebrow. Oh? Why is that, I wonder? Is it possibly because you contain the very thing that almost destroyed your village? Naruto let out a mirthless laugh. Got it in one, you're on a roll today. Zabuza, even though Naruto could hardly see it, obviously smirked. What about dreams? Everyone has them. If you haven't noticed, I'm not like everyone else. Naruto was growing bored of this. Zabuza nodded, as if this was a sufficient answer to his question. Well, pain seems obvious, but do you value your mobility? Don't worry, Naruto sneered, I'll kill you before you take that from me. Zabuza striped away Naruto's upper garments, throwing them across the dark room. As he idly ran a finger over the blonde's well-toned chest, he reached behind him and picked up what could only be described as blood disease on a sharp twisted piece of metal. In a flash the rusty old kunai was shoved into Naruto's shoulder, all the way up to the hilt. Zabuza, still holding onto the bloodied kunai, leaned in right into Naruto's face. Having fun? Asked Zabuza. Naruto didn't even bother answering. Humphrey, no fun at all. The masked man twisted the kunai that was embedded in Naruto's shoulder. He watched with genuine interest as the victim's face twisted in pain. On second thoughts, The same kunai that caused so much pain in his shoulder was pulled out and swiftly forced into Naruto's side. You are so much fun. The blonde's screams could be heard long into the night. Why won't my mind let me black out? Zabuza abruptly stopped after what seemed like an eternity of placing the rusty apparatus back onto the shelf. What? Do you have to gain? Form this? Naruto rasped. Gain? Why, my enjoyment of course. He walked towards the door. You sadistic bastard, he gasped out, your enjoyment? You need a new hobby. Don't worry, I'll be back soon to try my violence of the mind, torture. Haku, patch him up, I don't want him dying on me just yet. He grinned, before turning and walking out. Naruto blacked out, his skinless chest bleeding freely, flowing into the already wide pool of blood growing on the cobbled floor. A strike to the face awoke Naruto, followed by a small pain in the top of his arm, and a liquid being forced into his system. When he tried to resist, his arm was mercilessly broken. He bit back the pain and tried to see what was going on. He could make out the blurred outline of Zabuza, or Haku, his misty eye couldn't make out the torturer, close to his face. Enjoy your LSD-induced nightmare, whispered Zabuza, this should make you scream. Zabuza pulled away from Naruto's ear, heading back over to the equipment rack. You sure you didn't overdo it with the dosage, Zabuza-san? Haku asked, not out of concern for Naruto, just out of curiosity. The absorption of LSD into the system can usually be a most enjoyable experience, Zabuza casually said, or, under certain conditions and at too large a dosage, it can be a mind-shattering nightmare. The conditions, and the dosage, for our subject will send him into extreme shock. He paused, picking up a medicine bottle, examining the clear liquid it contained. The normal amount is 100 micrograms, but of course that will make him happy, that's why I gave him 600 micrograms. He should be seeing, feeling and hearing the most horrific scenes. Naruto couldn't concentrate anymore, he was more concerned about the blood red eye that appeared in front of him. What's this? The eye seemed to ask, spinning in mid-air, examining every inch of the boy. It can see me? It then also appeared to chuckle, far from a joyous chuckle, though this will make it all the easier to harm it. And, who knows, I might just be able to use it. The eye finished talking and seemed to warp, folding in on itself, to be replaced by a red, leering, scary as hell, crimson fox head. Go for it, an exhausted Naruto shot out, you worthless fur ball. He forced a mocking smile to appear, nearly all the energy in his body used up. Oh? How Kyuubi managed to raise an eyebrow Naruto would never know. You will give me control willingly? Naruto weakly snorted, so it sounded more like a gurgle. Only because I know I can take it back whenever I want. What makes you think you could take it off me? Kyuubi sneered, showing his glistening canines. It's my body, I know it better than anyone else. Naruto slumped in the chains, his energy now spent. The world around him started to mutate into hideous monstrosities. Just hurry it up, Kyuubi once again chuckled. As you wish. The image of the demon fox flew into the boy, Naruto's back arched, and a piercing scream emitted from him. Fool, said Naruto, in a voice that equally wasn't. The scream was the only warning they got. Zabuza span around at the sound. There was the previously, almost dead, Naruto, standing chest-heeled, iron chains hanging from his wrists. His hair was now as blood red as his eyes, black streaks adorning it. His fur wasn't much different than his hair, the crimson red, standing erect, and nails grown to an inhuman length, canines easily visible in his vicious snarl. His skin, now darker, had a thick red chakra surrounding it. This is what scared Zabuza, the chakra that just seemed to radiate pain, the chakra that put the very stones on fire. Where it lashed, the surrounding area melted, the air itself seemed to singe from the very heat. Boo! The demon vessel lifted up his right arm so it was at shoulder height, facing the furthest wall. The sickening crack the bone made when moving back into place made Zabuza wince. Palm facing the wall, Kyuubi let out a sharp blast of chakra, completely disintegrating the wall, taking all that built-up chakra with it. Doesn't make him any less threatening. Pay attention, Kyuubi whispered into Zabuza's ear. When he saw him beginning to move, he flashed to his other side. A Junin like you shouldn't get distracted quite so easily. Turn. Flash, it's insulting, Kyuubi finished whispering in his ear. This time when Zabuza turned, he let him. They were face to face for a whole 5 seconds, Zabuza's eyes getting wider and wider. You smell horrible, he lunged his head forward, his now sharp teeth closing around Zabuza's nose, ripping it off. And taste horrible too, he backflipped as Haku charged at him, getting in a solid kick into his back as he landed, sending the hunter nin sprawling into the screaming Zabuza. Kyuubi stood, gave a huge evil grin, and sped forward toward the two enemies trying to untangle themselves. Haku got out first, saw the speeding boy and aimed a punch at his head. Dodging to the right, he drove a knee into Haku's ribs. The hunter nin, now gasping for air, tried vainly to get away, only to notice the very chains that once kept this murderous boy at bay was now wrapped around the very hand he tried to subdue him with. Boy, no, he is no longer that. I know it's cliché, but he's basically an incarnation of our fears. With a fierce tug, he got pulled forward into the demon's awaiting hands. Fears can kill people, just as easily as a knife to the throat. Sending a bone-cracking backhand towards the masked man's ribs, Kyuubi laughed, loving the cry of pain that emitted from Haku's lips. The same hand that crushed his ribs, now grabbed onto the fabric covering them. Using the momentum he already had, he flipped him over his body, landing him head first into ground with a sickening crunch, throwing debris and dust everywhere. Kyuubi's manic laughter could be heard all the while the dust settled. When it finally did, Kyuubi's laughter was replaced by an angry snarl. Done already? But I was having so much fun. He raised his arms in exasperation, before turning his head toward Zabuza, with a less than welcoming smile on his lips. Well, he took a step forward. I'll just have to take my time with you, although you don't look like much fun. If Zabuza's widening eyes was anything to go by, he knew exactly what was going to happen next. Kyuubi's hands went right through Zabuza's shoulder, mangled remains and blood splattering the wall behind the masked man. On second thoughts, you're going to be so much fun, Kyuubi sneered, his face inches away from his victims, mocking him. He swiftly kicked the man in the chest, forcing him to fly back towards the dungeon wall, a yell of pain and a sickening crunch followed by chunks of rock and earth being spewed forth. The demon strode confidently forward, completely at ease at what was transpiring in front of him, of the pain he was causing. Zabuza's eyes were clouded over, almost completely unconscious. Kyuubi stood over him, one leg either side of his chest, his left hand placed over the defeated man's heart, his right raised high up in the air, pointing down to the point his left hand was now covering. His hand began its descent. Zabuza closed his eyes. Death was only mere moments away, but Kyuubi stopped, inches away from his chest. What? Growled Kyuubi. Escape. Came Naruto's voice from Kyuubi's mouth. I can kill this guy, shouted back Kyuubi. Oh, I have no doubt you can, but what about Waterfall Country's police, and Gato's samurai forces? They're on their way here? Yes, so run away. He stood there for a while longer, as if debating whether he could take on the Waterfall forces. His hand clenched and unclenched, trying to maintain his self-control. The man lying at his feet got even paler, yet a little bit of a smile was there, as if he knew how the internal battle would turn out. Eventually, Kyuubi snorted and stood up, facing away from the broken man. You're lucky I have a kind host. I'm not kind, just rational. Alright, shut up. He jumped through the hole in the wall. I'm going. The half-naked boy ran, going faster and faster. He traveled over the moist grass, acres upon acres of the stuff. His feet rang loudly upon the damp earth, leaving, past wet grass scorched. I could have killed them, shouted the boy. I know. And I keep telling you they would have been on top of you by the time you pulled your hand out. Any passerbys would have thought him crazy, shouting to himself about killing someone. Shut up. He increased his pace. I don't even know why I'm listening to you. Because I can do this. Kyuubi stopped, and clutched his head, screaming in agony. Stop, it hurts. His screaming continued, his pain doubled. He fell over, rolling around, his screaming got louder and louder. Then, just as abruptly as it came, it went. Minutes passed before Kyuubi regained his breath and senses. Now will you follow my orders? Bastard, said Kyuubi, as he got to his unsteady feet. He said it again. Can you find a different way of communicating with me than using the same mouth? It's starting to get on my nerves. You think I like it? I have to taste what you eat, Kyuubi chuckled. I'm working on it, okay? Hurry up. Then he jumped over a ravine, landing silently and swiftly, taking off again. I could have taken them. Kyuubi's voice was now soft. I know, but I couldn't take that chance. Naruto's voice equally soft. I could have. He doubled his speed, passing waterfalls, trees and lakes in a blur. The sun beat down upon his dark skin, warming him up after the damp interiors of the dungeon. I wanted to kill them. I know. Next time you come out you can deal? Kyuubi seemed to think about this, but what was there to think about? It was another chance for him to kill, slaughter, destroy. Also, he could work on his complete dominance. Deal. Chapter 6. Naruto's demise 6. This is what I thought Naruto would be like if he didn't have friends, but also had fox-like features, more so than those whiskers he already has. Plus I give him a scary fan club, no pairings, well not planning on any, but we shall see. Naruto didn't care, he didn't give a damn if one person lives or dies because no one ever cared for him, and no one ever gave a damn if he lived or died. Last time. The half-naked boy ran, going faster and faster. He traveled over the moist grass, acres upon acres of the stuff. His feet rang loudly upon the damp earth leaving, past wet, grass scorched. I could have killed him, shouted the boy. I know. And I keep telling you they would have been on top of you by the time you pulled your hand out. Shut up, he increased his pace. I don't even know why I'm listening to you. Because I can do this. QB stopped, and clutched his head, screaming in agony. Stop, it hurts. His screaming continued, his pain doubled. He fell over, rolling around, his screaming got louder and louder. Then, just as abruptly as it came, it went. Minutes passed before QB regained his breath and senses. Now will you follow my orders? Bastard, said QB, as he got to his unsteady feet. He said it again. Can you find a different way of communicating with me than using the same mouth? It's starting to get on my nerves. You think I like it? I have to taste what you eat, QB chuckled. I'm working on it, okay? Hurry up. Then he jumped over a ravine, landing silently and swiftly, taking of again. I could have taken them. QB's voice was now soft. I know, but I couldn't take that chance. Naruto's voice equally soft. I could have. He doubled his speed, passing waterfalls, trees and lakes in a blur. The sun beat down upon his dark skin, warming him up after the damp interiors of the dungeon. I wanted to kill them. I know. Next time you come out you can, deal? QB seemed to think about this, but what was there to think about? It was another chance for him to slaughter. Also, he could work on his complete dominance. Deal. This time. Darkness exists in everything, without it there wouldn't be life. Night and day, yin and yang, heaven and hell, good and evil, the opposites of a coin, yet connected in more ways than thought possible. For some it just a niggling at the back of the mind, easily dismissed. Like the feeling of hate, pushed aside for the better. For others, it's all-consuming, genocide, murder, rape, torture. It's all born of light and darkness, manifesting in the form of the 7 deadly sins. They are vanity, envy, gluttony, lust, wrath, greed and sloth, the blueprint to the soul. Everyone contains them, no one is free. Even the preachers at church, they just suppress them easier. Take you average maniacs, Hitler, Mussolini, Saddam, they had these, just in more abundance than anyone else. Maybe an early experience forced them out, or maybe they got sick of it all. There is always going to be more of these rejects. Even your best friend could be the next Oswald, he or she just hasn't tapped into the darkness yet. Now, as they say, back to the plot. Naruto struggled free of Sakura's choking grip, pushing her away. He wasn't in the mood, even a fight he would dismiss right now. He just walked ahead, ignoring the pleas from Sakura, the annoying silence from Sasuke, and the aggravating stare from Kakashi. We weren't that different, me and him, we just go about things differently. Or maybe I haven't grown into it yet. He spared a quick glance at all 3 of his teammates. No, he couldn't kill them, he wouldn't. Sakura's annoying clinging, Sasuke's weird way of being friendly, and even Kakashi's pervertedness. He came to rely on all of them, the familiarity of it all, the odd comfort. Maybe he should make an effort, maybe he should talk, not shove them aside like empty cans, maybe. He was still unsure whether an attachment was desired or not. He fell into an exhausted sleep, promising to answer questions in the morning. It wasn't a peaceful sleep though, he was plagued with the QB all night. While his body rested, his mind was mutilated. Why are you here, brat? QB's thundering voice drifted through the bars, he assumed it was his mountainous body waking from his favorite pastime, sleeping. QB's huge red eyes, and malevolent red chakra that seemed to ooze from him were the only sources of light in the dark, damp room. The great fox's head was raised a little from his crossed paws, his smile or sneer, it was hard to tell, shook Naruto to the core. How the hell should I know? I don't even know where here is. He was already annoyed by the fox, his fear subsiding, only a little. The hulking mass lowered his head back onto his paws, eyes closed, mouth relaxed back to normal. You're not as smart as you look, you know. The fox whispered. Sorry for not being taught about rooms with giant furballs. He ignored the dangerous growl form QB, locked behind metal bars with what, I hope, is water running up to my ankles. I know that's the seal on the bars though, he thought, but didn't mention it, just in case QB didn't know about it. It was weird, the paper seemed to be the only thing keeping QB sealed away, no welded together bars, or huge padlocks, just a flimsy piece of rotting paper. Wait, rotting, does that mean it weakening? I sure as hell hope not. It's what your mind created me to be sealed away in. Seems it hated me a little. A low chuckle. Growl? Came from the huge mass of crimson fur. Oh, and there's no toilets down here. Naruto wasn't sure if it was Baijuo humor, of just a weird way of reminding him that it hates him. He walked over to a wall, put his back against it, and slowly slid down, letting out a small grunt when his backside hit the floor, hoping that the huge fox was joking about there being no toilets. So if I imagine you having pink, fur-covered bars it would happen? Naruto let himself give a cheeky smile. It's not that easy. He could tell it was getting bored with the conversation. Your mind has to accept me first. Well, it's kind of hard to accept that an 18-story high demon fox, which has 9 tails, lives inside of me. I hate it too, but I've learnt to accept it. You should too. It's kinda hard, you know? He shifted his weight from his now numb right bum cheek to his left. He moved his tails from the water, shaking them out as he placed them on his lap. How did you get sealed in here in the first place? Curiosity replaced his fear and resentment now. He knew it was the 4th Hokage which did it, he just wanted to hear his version. Kyuubi snorted, giving Naruto a sideways glance. That bastard, the 4th, did it. The fox now sighed, how? Naruto will never know. Would you die to protect Konoha? Naruto was slightly taken back by this question. He played with the fur on his tails, as if unsure, before finally answering. I don't know, if I hated the invaders then yes, but if I didn't know them, then I'm not sure. Then you wouldn't understand what I was going to say. He closed his eyes again. Why wouldn't I? Kyuubi laughed, no mistaking it this time. If you aren't willing to protect your village, how can you understand someone who is? Kyuubi slowly got up, turning his huge body around so his head was level with Naruto's. His voice was now a roar, instead of the controlled hatred that raged it before. Your village is your home, whether you like it or not. You should want to die protecting it, not having to be ordered to. You're probably thinking I'm only one person, it won't matter if I don't fight. But what if you're the one person who was meant to end it, or the one person who saves someone? You're trash, simple as that. You don't even deserve the title of ninja. Ninja means assassination, fighting and protection. You may excel at the first two, but you're hopeless at the last one. Protection is a want, not a chore. You just haven't realized it yet, and most likely never will. Naruto knew the fox was right, but he couldn't find a part of him that wanted to protect Konoha. He had searched many times before, but no matter how far or how long he searched, he found that no part of him cared whether it was burnt to the ground, or came under evil rule. He just couldn't care. He wanted to, oh Kami how he wanted to, but from a young age he never had someone to teach him the virtues of good and evil, the moral rights and wrongs. So he grew up, believing that he was allowed to do anything, so long as it got the desired results. He could do them without any unwanted consequences. The tears began to fall, slowly running over his hard, emotionless features. An hand equally as slow was raised to the tears, a finger brushed away a stray one, sky blue eyes were captured by the little ball of water, resting on his outstretched finger. Haven't seen these in a while. He, unknowing why, grew angry, furious. Maybe it was the simple words that drew him to this, or the fact that a few words could bring him to this, he didn't know. He wiped the tears away angrily, cursing his weakness. Standing up slowly, Naruto began pacing, the seething anger quickly replacing his self-pity, anything to keep his mind of his life, his hell. The water raged at his feet, his tails never stopped swirling and his hand rhythmically clenched then unclenched. He needed to hurt something, destroy something, anything. He looked around and saw the bars, through them was Kyuubi, watching him with mild interest. He walked over towards them, stopping an arm's length from Kyuubi. His ears stood erect, proud, as he stood before the daunting figure of the king of the Baijuos. Bastard, Naruto snarled, and lashed out with his fist, hoping to hit the fox. What happened next Naruto didn't expect. A red barrier stopped his fist from passing between the metal bars. It rippled outwards from his fist, like the water rippling outwards from his feet. He roared and started to repeatedly hit the barrier, not caring when his hands started to bleed. He just kept blindly swinging at the barrier, not noticing the fox's head drawing near, the gigantic nose inches away from where Naruto's hand was hitting. Bang! Naruto hit harder, bang, harder still, bang. Harder still, bang. He threw everything into it. Thud. Naruto stopped, wondering why it changed tone. Realization hit him and he slowly looked at where his hand was. It was connected to a huge black nose. He followed the nose upwards, onto its long, crimson-colored snout. His eyes didn't stop, he didn't pull his fist away. Eventually, he met eye to eye with the fox. Those huge, red eyes now held something worse than hate, a million times worse than anger. Amusement. You see, demons generally have a sadistic sense of amusement, and that's precisely what Kyuubi's eyes contained, amusement. Ooh, shit. You better hold on to something. Huh? Naruto got shot backwards, slamming painfully into the wall at the other end of the 60-foot-long room. It didn't stop there, oh no, his body kept on getting pushed back, cracking the wall behind him. He wanted to scream, it hurts. But the force of the chakra kept his mouth clamped shut. He writhed against the force, pushing forward, pulling away. Nothing worked, nothing got rid of the pain. So his body took over, where your brain shuts down and your body goes on to automatic. Doing things your body normally wouldn't have been able to do, or thought it couldn't. He let out a large blast of chakra, combating Kyuubi's chakra with his own, somehow giving him room to move around. He dropped from the wall, getting quickly to his feet. Even here he could feel it starting to push him back, so he moved behind his chakra wall, the force subsiding slightly. It's like wind, he noted, blowing round the object, until they meet up on the other side, so this should help me. He expanded the length of his wall, until the crushing force went completely. Okay, now that's done, how the hell do I get out of here? He felt himself weakening. Okay, more importantly, how long can I last? He heard a grunt of pain coming from the other end of the room. He looked through his chakra, and through Fox's, the sight shocking him. It would almost be wind, if it wasn't for the odd dashes of red and blue. Kyuubi looked like Naruto did not long ago, pushed against the wall, being forced into it. This is how powerful his chakra is? Amazing. Don't push me away, let me in and it will stop. He managed to shout towards Naruto, before he began writhing slightly. Even when he was in agonizing pain he'd only lose a little bit of pride over it, stubborn idiot. What do you mean, let you in? Naruto asked. Let my chakra inside you. Naruto wasn't sure, he didn't know what would happen, how it would happen, or what he'd do when he woke up. If you don't do it now, we will both die. A war raged inside Naruto, die, or let everyone else die. Wait, why was he asking? He didn't care, right? Right? Then why is it so hard for him to make this decision? He could die here, and save people from a possible disaster, or let him in, and cause a disaster. But what if it didn't? The part of him that desired power put in, what if it makes you more powerful than you ever thought possible? Imagine what you could do with that power. What if it eats me away, the force of it destroying me as well? What if it doesn't? Was all he got in return? He came to a decision. What must I do? Kyuubi chuckled, good boy. You must let down your shield and absorb me. How? If you can't figure it out, you don't deserve it. He had to give credit to Kyuubi, he didn't have a pained voice, and his huge body hardly moved. Fine, he let down the shield after a couple of seconds of getting his courage up. He was thrown against the wall again, the chakra pushing and pushing. The relentless pushing, like he was being crushed, smaller and smaller until he couldn't breathe, couldn't even blink. We will both die. The words rung in his head, but what could he do about it? He was hurting, unable to think straight. Open yourself up, your body is rejecting me, force it not to, calm it down. He didn't know where that voice came from, and he didn't care. He forced himself to calm down, to open up. It was a lot harder than it sounded, but he managed it. He managed to stop rejecting the chakra, letting it soak into his body. It entered like a mist, wrapping around him, slowly pushing its way into his body. He could feel it flowing through every one of his sweat glands, entering every individual organ. When it reached his heart it started to beat rapidly, it almost felt as if it wanted to burst from his chest. The pain returned, tenfold, it felt he was being burnt from the inside out. One thought went through his mind, I'm gonna kill Kyuubi when this is over. Don't worry, it will be over soon, Naruto. Once again he was annoyingly right, soon after he spoke the worst of the pain stopped. It was now just a dull ache that traveled through his body. You never said. It would hurt, he breathed out. Kyuubi once again settled himself on the ground, paws crossed, and head lying on top of them. Yep, defiantly, not as smart as you look. Now, To any onlooker they would have basically shit themselves from what they saw. The chakra this 13-year-old boy was letting out dwarfed any they have sensed before. It burnt the very air with its ferocity, writhing around him in a red haze before forcing itself outwards, passing around them like a sheet caught in the wind might. The boy's back would then have arched, an ear-splitting scream coming from his horrified face. Then, sudden calmness, like the storm's finished, or the calm before. The body completely relaxed, his lips formed into a weird smile. But then the convulsions would start again, but different from before, he curled up in a ball instead of lashing out at all around. Chakra shot out in blasts, destroying all around. Then, the calmness once again, and the relief that knowing that was the last one. Or the calm before an even bigger storm. Naruto sat up, the burnt sheets falling of him. Did that really happen? Or did I dream the whole thing? He swung his legs out the destroyed bed and stood up, stretching his back, causing it to crack. It seemed so real though. Aw hell. I'll never know. He lazily pushed open the battered door leading to the bathroom, not noticing that it was almost of its hinges, or the faint red color the metal handle turned. He didn't even notice the whole bathroom was destroyed, or the way his sweat-soaked face looked back at him from the cracked mirror. He blindly reached out for where his toothbrush should have been, and groaned when he grabbed thin air. He tried again, then again and once more before he finally turned his head. The toothbrush wasn't there, the shelf they rested on wasn't, or the wall that the shelf rested on. He looked slowly around, then back through to where he was once sleeping, finally noticing the burnt and battered room. Oh. Well, guess that proves it did happen. He stepped through the gaping hole in the room into the just rising sun. He carefully maneuvered his bare feet around the chunks of debris that littered the grass garden. He looked around the little haven, the perfectly cut grass, the beautiful wild flowers and the stunning waterfall that ran into a clear stream. His bare torso warmed up dramatically when the sun ran its rays over it. He only just began to notice how cold he was, the warm outside a major difference to the cold bedroom. He inhaled deeply through his nostrils expecting it to clear his messed up head. When it nearly made him vomit he then knew something had changed. He bent over double, hands on thighs, coughing so hard that he felt his throat would catch fire. Eventually his coughing eased up, his teary eyes managing to open up once again. He took an experimental breath in through his nose, only a small one, and it stung like hell, causing his eyes to tear up again. He quickly blinked away the tears. He opened his mouth and began taking in deep breaths, trying vainly to stop all air intake through his nose. Well, this is strange. He lifted a hand up to his nose, expecting it to be all. Well, he didn't know what to expect, but he was still surprised when he found it was normal. It took him another half hour until he managed to breathe and trough his nose relatively normally. It still stung a little. And by that time he was sitting down, leaning back onto his hands, letting the sun catch his already tanned skin. The more he breathed through his nose, the more he could distinguish smells, like the smell of the flowers. If he concentrated in the floors by the stream, he could easily, not at first, pick out a random smell and know which one it was. He heard them before he saw them, the heat from the sun making a haze rise, all shapes becoming undistinguishable. He also noticed, well, not noticed physically, but he knew something was up. He could smell, well, a mix. Before they saw the wreckage, Sakura predictably smelt, what was the best way of putting it? Obsessive? No, that's not it. Something as close as a 13-year-old can get to lust, that's what she smelled like. Kakashi didn't smell of anything, he was a plain in smell as he was in expressions. Now, here's when it gets interesting. Sasuke isn't as calm or collected as he appeared to be. He was wary of Naruto to say the least, but when he saw the gaping, 6'5" high hole that came from his bathroom, that changed a lot. Naruto could literally smell the piss building up inside of him. He spent the rest of the day grudgingly answering Kakashi's questions, reciting all he could of what happened at the torture room, except Kyuubi taking over. Kakashi was worried now. Naruto did need his newly acquired sense of smell to know that. He was never good at reading physical behavior, but smell, he quickly found out, never lies. It's incapable of it. He left out the part of Kyuubi coming out for one very obvious reason: hatred. He didn't want anyone to hate him any more than they do now. If they did, there's no telling what he would do. Multiple times he had found himself wanting to kill them, but all those times he managed to regain control. It was just as the old saying went, keep my friends close, but my enemies, even closer. He wanted to gloat in their faces when he became Hokage, the title given to the good ninja. No ninja's good, they have all killed, murdered, committed genocides, pillaged, the list never ends. And that's just for one ninja. Seeing as the Hokage is the strongest ninja in the village, He must have committed many of these crimes, yet they still give him the title. The only difference was that they didn't hate them. They hate Naruto though, for something he couldn't help, bastards, a lot of them. They don't know talent when they see it, he thought bitterly. He finally managed to return to his busted up room after a quick explanation that he lost control of his chakra. It wasn't the truth, but not far from it. He tied it up as much as he could late into the night. He promised himself to come back and pay for the repairs, well when he had enough money that was. He closed the bathroom door, stopping the cold night air to flow through into the small bedroom. When Naruto finally finished cleaning up what he could, he slouched exhausted into the relatively comfy bed, staring at the roof. He crossed his arms behind his head, not wanting the sheets to cover his body. He spent the next few minutes trying vainly to fall asleep. When no such events happened, he opened his eyes and began to do what he did with most of his spare time, think. He sorted out his memories, the questions and the answers. Right now though, he couldn't think straight. He didn't know what effect the fox recently had on his body or if they were short or long-term effects. He found his hand running slowly over the right side of his chest, the moonlight flooding in through the small window above his bed giving it, he knew it sounded stupid, an eerie feeling. I mean, think about, I've been kidnapped, tortured, meet a giant fox, got hurt by the giant fox, got a nose that hurt when I breathe in, and a cut that should have killed me that healed overnight. Son of a bitch. That's what I meant to ask him about, damn it, I completely forgot. Well, I suppose I've got a good enough reason. Almost being killed is okay, isn't it? It better be, or there'd be hell to pay. He spent another 5 minutes trying to get asleep. After those 5 minutes, he stood up, grabbed the scroll, and jumped through the hole. Screw this, I'm gonna go train. Chapter 7. Naruto's Demise 6. This is what I thought Naruto would be like if he didn't have friends, but also had fox-like features, more so than those whiskers he already has. Ha, plus I give him a scary fan club, no pairings, well not planning on any, but we shall see. Naruto didn't care, he didn't give a damn if one person lives or dies because no one ever cared for him, and no one ever gave a damn if he lived or died. Last time. I mean, think about, I've been kidnapped, tortured, met a giant fox, got hurt by the giant fox, got a nose that hurt when I breathed in, and a cut that should have killed me that healed overnight. Son of a bitch. That's what I meant to ask him about, damn it, I completely forgot. Well, I suppose I've got a good enough reason, and almost being killed is okay, isn't it? It better be, or there'd be hell to pay. He spent another 5 minutes trying to get asleep. Screw this, I'm gonna go train. This time. Naruto stood wide-eyed, staring at the destroyed cliff in front of him. Before I didn't even get close. He raised his hands up to his face, as if they were the source of this sudden burst of power. Now I destroyed it in one hit. The blonde looked left and right at his clones, all of them wore the same flabbergasted expression on their faces. Weird. He dispelled his clones and waited for the exhaustion to take over. That weirdly never came. He looked around, making sure his clones were fully gone. They surely were. The only indication they were ever there was the faint wisps of smoke rising upwards and the faint ripple in the wide stream. The moon bore down upon the demon container's worried expression, casting ominous shadows all around. The light coated the topless boy in a silver skin, making all the water running down his toned body sparkle. The blonde slowly walked out of the lake, taking care not to slip on the bank. Just what did that fox do to me? He walked in through the front door, taking a quick glance at the old clock. When he found out it said 1 o'clock, Naruto groaned and headed into his room, only to find everything missing. The hell? That's when he noticed the note on the door. Pulling it quickly of the pin, a piece of it dangling on the door in defeat, he once again groaned at what he found out. You're sharing with Sasuke until repairs are done, have a nice rest. Kakashi. That bastard. Naruto growled, before slowly walking down the corridor towards Sasuke's room. His bare feet made hardly any sound on the wooden flooring. With his clothes and shoes clutched tightly in one hand, he turned the handle on the door. Why do I get the feeling this is gonna turn out bad? He opened the door and found out that there were 2 beds, but both were occupied. He just had to take the one-person bed, Naruto whispered angrily, before stomping lightly towards the bathroom. He chucked his clothes into the laundry basket on the way towards the small bathroom. Once he got in, Naruto instantly leaned his hands on the sink, his head falling slowly forward to softly rest on the cold mirror. He closed his eyes and sighed, feeling a headache coming on. He went through the motions, not really thinking about anything, more worried about what would happen tonight. By the time Naruto had waded into his room, pulled out a spare sheet from the wardrobe and laid it on the ground, laying himself down on the hard, uncomfy wooden floor, Kyuubi had already planned what to do with the boy. What? Snapped an irritated Naruto. Nice to see you, to grumbled the fox. Naruto blinked as if he didn't hear right. Are you sulking? The blonde hardly believed it himself, he wouldn't have if he hadn't heard it. The great fox was lying down on his stomach, paws out in front and crossed over, while his gigantic head rested on top of them. His gaze was fixed onto Naruto's, neither looking away. Kyuubi grumbled something and looked away from him. What was that? Asked Naruto. I said we should try and get along. Naruto once again blinked. I mean, we live in the same body, plus you just like me, the Crimson Fox finished. I'm nothing like you, said Naruto. Kyuubi raised a non-existent eyebrow. Oh? He let out a deep chuckle, the malevolent kind, not the heartwarming one. So, you're telling me you never feel the rush when beating the crap out of someone? You never feel the bloodlust? You enjoy it, and don't try to kid yourself, you enjoy it just as much as me. The thrill of it, the pleasure when blood is running down your hands, when your enemy falls at your feet, all life drained away by your actions. Kyuubi inhaled deeply, that alone causing a soft roar. Admit it, you love it, you can't get enough. Why else did you give in to me back when you were being tortured? You wanted them dead, you wanted to hurt them, it was all you. I only followed what you wanted, nothing more, nothing less. So you see, Kyuubi smiled, his deadly sharp teeth making him look even fiercer. You already control me, you ordered me to do those things. Shut up, came Naruto's choked reply. You told me to hurt them. Shut up, Naruto said through gritted teeth. You wanted them dead. Shut up. The blonde screamed. Not until you admit it. The fox yelled. Naruto screamed as he woke up. He ignored the cry from Sakura, the cry from Kakashi. He needed space, he needed time to think. And most likely time to kill a few helpless animals. He needed the blood. He ran into the forest. That fucker's right. He snapped the rabbit's neck without a second thought. He always is, always knowing me, always knowing what to say to make me hate myself more. He jumped up into a nearby tree, seething with anger, panting heavily, trying to keep it all in. As if I don't have enough problems. Now I've got a freaking asshole inside me who knows everything about me, and makes me want to go kill myself over, and over, and over again. He couldn't hold it in, he roared, screamed bloody murder. He stood up, arched his back and screamed once more, head tilted back, not caring who heard it. The bestial scream carried all through the forest, birds flying away in fright, animals of all kinds scurrying back into their holes. He punched the thick tree branch he was standing on, causing it to crack in two. He landed nimbly, crouched down and began pounding the floor with his fists, screaming all the while. He only stopped when his fingers and wrists were broken. Kakashi found him some time later, Naruto staring into nothing, hands mangled beyond recognition. Dear Kami, Naruto, what the hell have you done to yourself? He took a step forward, hand reached out towards the battered boy. Like you care, was all he got in reply, before being pushed past. Kakashi couldn't help but notice the strain on Naruto's voice. We head out at noon tomorrow. Finally muttered Sasuke. Naruto didn't even move. The bridge builder, Tazuna, will be accompanying us. Our orders are to protect him and all other bridge builders currently working there. Failure is not an option, a whole country's future is at risk here. His gaze traveled over all three genins present, lingering on Naruto for a little longer. When the blonde gave a quick nod, Kakashi continued. Get some rest, we meet here precisely at noon. Naruto once again awoke from a restless sleep with the fox, and climbed out of bed. He ignored the groan from Sakura next to him, and placed a pillow for her to grip onto instead of his tails. How she managed to grab his tails from where she was trying to figure out the mysteries of the universe. He scratched the itch behind his ears and made his way slowly to the old wooden wardrobe. He was happy that his hands had healed so quickly, broken bones and tissue healing overnight. He'd be damned before he'd thank the fox for it though. Yawning as he did so, he quickly got out of his boxers from yesterday, and pulled on some new, clean black ones. Now sure that no one would see him naked, he took his time with the rest of his clothes. When his regular clothing was on, the dark blue 3/4 length trousers, the fishnet top with Anbu armor and a black t-shirt on top of that, his silver forearm bracers, black shinobi footwear, and his black and red jacket tied around his waist. He set out into the 5 a.m. light to get some last-minute training done. Right, I started this last night, it shouldn't be too hard to pick up now. Instead of standing in the stream like he was the previous night, he was now on the bank next to it, Scroll opened in front of him, reading the insert labeled Air Element, Air Missile Technique. Used much the same way as Fire Element, Fireball Technique, the user must gather chakra into his slasher stomach, make the necessary hand seals, boar, dog, ram, and monkey, and spurt forth the chakra inside his slasher stomach. Here the former owner seemed to have added their own thoughts here. Here is where it differs. Instead of the user having to make a constant stream of chakra like the fireball technique, with air missile technique the user must let it out all at once, otherwise it will only come out as a gentle breeze, instead of the compact dangerous ball we want it to become. Seems easy enough. He gathered as much chakra as possible into his stomach, ran through the seals, and let it out. He felt like his head almost exploded, which is exactly what happened to the 10-foot wide hole in front of him. Almost killed me that time. I need to tone it down a touch. He continued to practice. 10 a.m. came, and Naruto had got the technique down to fine art. All he was doing now was trying to get the ball bigger and bigger and bigger, to the point where his throat became cut. He pushed to the limits, and tried fervently to get past them. Naruto ignored all the noon briefing, already knowing what Kakashi was going to say. Take care, and, don't die blah blah blah, once again going through the motions, not paying attention to anything, not even when he told them to move out. Naruto pushed himself of the wall of the building and followed the rest of his team. Should be interesting. Thank you so much for watching. This was the last part, and I'll see you in the next video.